5 is investigating the mosque near Ground Zero.
Part 2 of our investigation now is uncovering more details about the developer and his money man.
But neither one of them wants to say a word about all of this. Fox 5's Charles Leaf following the money trail for us.
Sharif El-Jamal. Hi, I'm Charles Leaf from Fox 5 News. How are you? I'd like to ask you a couple questions. Sharif El-Jamal, the 37-year-old waiter-turned-mogul, wanted no part of some tough questions about his development of the mosque near Ground Zero, his finances, associations, or past. Can you tell us where you got the money to raise the money to put down all that money on the mosque? Why a reputable businessman involved in a project with worldwide interest wouldn't be willing to answer a few questions? Hard to understand. El-Jamal is the president and CEO of Soho Properties, which owns 45 Park Place, the building most now know as the Ground Zero Mosque. He bought it for $4.8 million in cash, and he's now getting his 15 minutes of fame. It's quite a rise for a guy who was waiting tables just a few years ago at trendy upscale Manhattan restaurants. Now a real estate developer in the middle of a politically charged, highly sensitive and controversial project, many have wondered who El-Jamal is associated with and how he's financing the deal. We started following the money and found El-Jamal's real estate holdings include at least 4 buildings in Manhattan, including the mosque at Ground Zero, 2 residential buildings in Washington Heights, and this 108,000 square foot building in Chelsea. He bought it for $45.7 million just 4 months after purchasing the future mosque. And Fox 5 News has learned he had a list of investors, including the very people who sold him 45 Park Place, the mosque site. But El-Jamal's biggest boost came from this man, Egyptian-born Hisham El-Zante. Assam, how you doing, sir? Charles Lee from Fox 5 News. How are you, Assam? I'd like to ask you just a couple of quick questions, if I may.
I'm not available now.
May I ask you a couple of questions about Sharif El-Jamal, please, sir? Mortgage documents confirm El-Zante is the guarantor on the $39 million loan El-Jamal's company assumed in buying the building.
A guarantor is much like a cosigner, and it is either a person or an entity who has agreed by contract to take over your loan should you default on it.
Hisham. It seems El-Jamal's money man couldn't get away from us fast enough either. Darting out of his nearly $2 million Rosalind Heights home, he made a beeline to his car, again refusing to answer our questions. Among them, how he knows Sharif El-Jamal. But we've been able to find out quite a bit about El-Zante without his help. He's the owner of several medical companies run out of this building in the Bronx. East Tremont Medical Center is a clinic. In the reception area, a picture of El-Zante proudly posing with his staff. But as these state records show, Hisham El-Zante was ordered to pay more than $331,000. It's money that an audit shows one of his companies was overpaid by Medicaid. Mr. El-Zante. We tried again to talk to El-Zante, but once again, he took off without answering any of our questions, much the way his associate, mosque developer Sharif El-Jamal did. Why won't you talk to us, sir? Why are you running? El-Jamal remains stubbornly silent, and we've now learned he's also involved in developing another Islamic center, this one in Harlem. And Hisham El-Zante, the man who's essentially the co-signer on El-Jamal's $39 million mortgage for that office building in Chelsea, is no stranger to headlines himself. Reportedly in 1999, his parents were killed when Egyptian Air Flight 990 crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off of Nantucket Island. Charles Leaf, Fox 5 News.
All right, thank you, Charles. And we do have a lot more now. Joining us live is Long Island Congressman Peter King, who is a leading critic of the mosque. Congressman, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Ernie.
All right. First off, you can see that Fox 5 is following the money trail. What is your reaction to our story?
Ernie, this is just all beyond me. There's no reason why Fox should have to follow them. They should be coming forward and volunteering all this information. We're talking about such a controversial mosque where there's such a question about the financing. If they were being honest and sincere and want to remove any type of doubt or any questions, they should hold a news conference. They should lay everything out as to who's financing it, how they purchased the building in the first place, what the plans are, who the investors are going to be. To me, this should be, they owe it to the public. They owe it to the city of New York. They owe it to all of those families who had loved ones killed and murdered on September 11th. So I give Fox credit for chasing them down, but it's unfortunate you have to do that. They should be coming forward on their own. They should want to let us know where the money is coming from and who's financing it.
Okay, so the fact is that they are not coming forward. I mean, obviously you believe this is worth pursuing. How do we find out where the money is coming from, and is it worth forcing them? Is there any way to do that?
Well, it's possible that the Attorney General of New York State has the right to go after them, to disclose, because this will be, the type of foundation or the type of entity which should be subject to public scrutiny. But even apart from that, I think the media has to keep up the job. The public has to demand it. I would hope that elected officials like the mayor and the governor and others would call on them to do it, because this has gone beyond just a question of whether or not it's legal or illegal. There's no doubt they have the right to go ahead. But if they want to have the support of the public, and if they want to remove the doubts that are out there right now as to, for instance, where we got $4.5 million in cash to buy it in the first place, where the $100 million is going to come from, who are all these people, then they should come forward on their own. And if they don't do it voluntarily, then there should be enough public pressure brought by the media, brought by public officials, brought by religious leaders, leaders from other religions, and also Muslim leaders themselves.
Okay. Congressman King, let me ask you this now. There appears to be growing anti-Muslim sentiment in our area. We had the cab driver who police say was nearly killed because he was a Muslim. What do you make of that story? And isn't it possible that moving the mosque could create more friction?
No, Ernie, first of all, what happened in that cab is absolutely disgraceful, and the person who did it should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But that doesn't mean we shut off debate on this issue. To me, the best way to avoid the controversy is for the people at the mosque to fully disclose where their money has come from, what their plans are, and also, I believe, to bring a sense of calm and tranquility is to voluntarily move the mosque. And I don't think they should be holding it over our head that if the debate goes on, anything that occurs during this time is somehow anti-Muslim. There is no Islamophobia. I am opposed to the mosque. I have absolutely no objection to the Muslim religion, no objection to the Quran, no objection to mosques being wherever they happen to be located. But ground zero is different, and the Muslim leadership should know that.
Congressman, before you go, are you hearing a lot about this from your constituents?
Derry, I hear about it all the time, especially because there were so many families in my district who lost loved ones on that day. Between friends, neighbors, constituents, it must be over 150. But beyond that, there's just thousands of people who have been affected by this. So, yeah, I hear it all the time. I can't go to the bagel shop. I can't go to the diner. I can't go to church on Sunday. I can't go anywhere without people bringing this up. People stop me on the street. And this is Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservative. They can't believe this is happening.
It's a hot issue, and the debate continues. Long Island Congressman Peter King, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Derry.